Welcome to my YouTube channel Perth Brightside. Before starting this video, I am not any consultant or MARA agent. The information I am providing based on my experience and knowledge. If you found my information wrong, please help me to correct it. In this video I will show you full details of Mark McGowan announcement for when WA will reopen its border, in which month. So please stay with me till end of this video. But before that, please like this video and subscribe my YouTube channel. Premier Mark McGowan says Western Australia will open up its borders when 90% of the state's population aged above 12 years old is fully vaccinated against COVID-19. Mr. McGowan said this target could be achieved in late January or early February, and a specific transition day to reopen to domestic and international travellers would be announced after an 80% double-dose vaccination rate was reached. But before moving to next, let's see full announcement video by Mark McGowan.
Our transition is a world first. What's unique about our plan is that it's intended for border controls to ease at a point where there is no community transmission in Western Australia, combined with very, very high levels of vaccination. This puts us in the best possible position to transition with minimal impact on our health, our economy, and our way of life. We have done so well, we do not want to fall at the last hurdle. The plan will take effect when Western Australia reaches a 90% double dose vaccination rate for people aged 12 and above. That is forecast to take place in late January or early February. But as we have announced previously, we will announce the specific transition day after we've achieved a double dose vaccination rate of 80%. That's expected to be reached in December. As far as the world standards go, a rate of 90% will be an amazing achievement. But I've always believed we can strive high and get the best result for our state. And given our current vaccination rates, these targets are realistic and within our sights. Our current vaccination rates are in line with the supply of the vaccine, and a credit to each and every West Australian who has rolled up and done the right thing, even without the threat of COVID-19 in the local community, as some other jurisdictions have had. I want to stress the 90% target threshold could be reached earlier or later, but once we hit 80% and then set the specific date for transition, that date will be locked in to provide everyone with the certainty they need to plan ahead and be prepared for the next stage of this pandemic. Now, it is a statewide vaccination rate. However, if there are regional areas that don't have a high enough vaccination rate, then pending health advice at that time, intra-state borders to protect those specific regions may need to be introduced. This measure would be in place until the vaccination rate in those regions is lifted to satisfactory levels. Cutting off the Pilbara, or any region for that matter, is not something I want to do. But if that's what is required to protect the local community and local industries, then we will take that step based on the health advice at the time. So I would again encourage all eligible West Australians all over WA to get vaccinated. The sooner you get vaccinated, the sooner the safe transition plan can kick in. It's in your hands. So roll up for WA now before it's too late.
According to video, Mr. McGowan said, some restrictions would also be introduced when the state reopened, including the wearing of masks at high-risk locations such as on public transport. Mr. McGowan said the 80% rate was expected to be reached next month. WA's vaccination rate for those over 12 currently sits at around 80% first dose and 64% second dose. The Premier described the plan as a safe transition which would ease our controlled border and provide a soft landing out of the pandemic. Mr. McGowan said, I want to stress the 90% target threshold could be reached earlier or later, but once we hit 80% and then set the specific date for transition, that date will be locked in. In late January or early February, when the transition happens, some baseline COVID restrictions are set to be reintroduced. 1. Face masks would again be required in high-risk indoor settings including on public transport, hospitals and aged care facilities. 2. Vaccination proof will be needed to get into nightclubs, the casino, and large events with crowds of more than 1,000 people like at the football or a concert. 3. Contact registers and a Safe WA app will still be in place at all public venues. 4. Revised COVID-19 events and safety plans will be needed. 5. Entry to remote Aboriginal communities will be restricted where necessary. Rules for travel. Mr. McGowan said travel would again be permitted from anywhere across Australia, but rules of entry would remain. For interstate arrivals, 1. Travellers would need to be double vaccinated. 2. Return a negative PCR test 72 hours prior to departure. 3. Undertake a COVID test within 48 hours of entry. For overseas arrivals, 1. Return a negative PCR test 72 hours prior to departure. 2. Undertake a COVID-19 test within 48 hours of entry. 3. Double vaccinated international travellers will not be required to quarantine. 4. International travellers who are not double vaccinated will be required to complete 14 days quarantine in a designated facility. Mr. McGowan said once the transition date was set, it would be locked in regardless of whether or not the 90% double dose target had been reached. But he warned if WA did not reach that target by the set date, further public health and social measures would be put in place. Restrictions on venues, restrictions on workplaces, restrictions when it comes to masks, all those sorts of things that we're desperately trying to avoid, he said. Mr. McGowan said the use of lockdowns could end once the 90% rate was reached, with the exception of areas with low vaccinations including remote Aboriginal communities. This is the end of today's video. I hope you like it. Please press like and subscribe the channel for more updates. See you in the next video. Till then, goodbye and take care.